So I got laid off from my federal job on March 11th. No warning, just a cold email, and suddenly everything I worked for in public service was gone. It was part of a massive reduction in force, or RIF, at the U.S. Department of Education. But it wasn't just us. Over the past few months, so many employees working in civil rights protections, public health, have been laid off at NIH, HHS, USAID, to name a few. I spent the last couple of months unemployed, applying for jobs, talking to reporters and journalists, and even going to the Hill and sharing my story with Congress. Because this wasn't about efficiency, it was political. And now a federal judge agrees. On May 22nd, a preliminary injunction was issued. It blocks the RIF and forces the agency to reinstate all employees and stops the plans to shut down the Department of Education. I don't know if I'll get my job back, but this injunction is a step towards accountability, and it confirms what we all knew, that this wasn't just a layoff, it was an attack on public service. If you've been impacted or you care about what's happening to public service, stay tuned. I'm not done talking about it.
Hi, I'm Jessica, and I got laid off today. 3 months ago, I started a new role that I thought was my dream opportunity, and turns out today was my last day. A mix of emotions right now because I actually was laid off in November of 2022, and I just received this full-time offer back in January of 2025. So I was unemployed for a pretty extended period of time. I did take a contractor role in between that, but in terms of full-time employment, I was just getting back into it. And now, 90 days later, I'm back in the market. Cheers to unemployment.
I'm almost 50 years old and I feel like I'm starting all over again. I got laid off at the end of last year in 2024. We're now in May of 2025 and I still don't have a job. I'm applying. I've applied to almost 200 different positions. I've had interviews. I've had callbacks. Nobody has pulled the trigger. I did work in education. And so now I'm still just trying to find a job. I'm trying to do other things. I'm exploring this TikTok stuff. I am trying to sell on Poshmark, selling used clothes, whether I'm selling my own or I go thrifting and I resell there. I am making woodworking things so I can sell them on Facebook Marketplace. But I don't know if it's my age. I don't know if it's the industry. I just don't know what to do. I have time. I'm doing things. I'm trying to think of all the things. I do some online freelance type of work just to bring in a little bit of money, but it's nothing full-time, nothing permanent. So here I am pouring my soul on TikTok. There's got to be other people like me out there. What did you do? Share your stories. Let's figure this out together. I'm at a loss. I don't know what to do, man.
So yesterday I was laid off for my job, my very cushy, very nice trucking job. And that's all good. I got 2 interviews. I'm on my way to one right now. They're both better paying jobs. One of them is even closer to my house. But that's actually not what I want to talk about. Yesterday, while I was on that phone call, one of the drivers that was getting laid off, he said, "Hey guys, so you request a 2 weeks notice from us when we're going to leave. In fact, last year I did give you a 2 weeks notice. I decided to leave. I found a better job and I put in my 2 weeks and you guys talked me out of it. You said, no, we're going to give you a raise, which you did. But I would be in a much better job right now. But you can't be bothered to give us a 2 weeks notice. Hey, you're about to lose your income. We have to give you, a multi-billion-dollar company, 2 weeks to find our replacement. But you can't be bothered to give us the same courtesy." The boss said, "This is not a decision leadership makes lightly." And the driver said, "That's not what I'm asking you." Then he said, "There's not much more I can tell you. I'm sorry things are the way they are." And that was that. Let this be a reminder that you can be as loyal as a dog to a company. And when they decide to let go of you for whatever reason, they're moving on. And there's nothing you can do about that. And also, we're done giving 2 weeks notices. Courtesy is a two-way street. And if I can't expect that from you, don't expect it from me. Have a great one.
Volvo just laid off 3,000 workers, and they started with the top. They laid off tech roles. Now they're laying off the corporate management roles, and then they're just going to work their way from the top all the way to the bottom. And this is what a lot of companies are doing. Microsoft started this new trend, and now you have Walmart, and it's going over and over again. And the market right now is not the best. The tariffs are destroying everything, especially the car market specifically. So, hey, be prepared. If you are in a role right now where AI can semi-perform it, prepare yourself for your next move. I'm not trying to fearmonger, but I'm just telling you the truth. Prepare yourself right now.
When I went to nursing school, I never thought that I would leave the field within like 5 years, but that's what happened. My mom has been a NICU nurse for almost 17 years now, and I thought I would at least make it to 10. But within my first year of working as a nurse, I experienced lateral violence, bullying, retaliation, and severe burnout to the point where I wanted to leave my unit, but my manager was blocking my ability to switch units, so I felt trapped. Around that same time, when I was really struggling and just hoping to escape my unit, something happened. The year was 2020, and something opened up. Volunteer positions to work on the COVID cohort unit at my hospital. So I was first in line. I'm like, you know what? This will help me actually leave this role that I am being forced to stay in on this unit where I feel like if I don't leave, I don't know what's going to happen to me. I felt unsafe, I felt unsupported, and you just shouldn't trap someone in a role. Like, that doesn't make sense, and it's also not good for your mental health. So in hindsight, deciding to volunteer to work on the COVID cohort unit was not my best move. If I could have like Back to the Future myself and said, hey, maybe don't do that because things are gonna be rough. So I basically thought working through the unknown in a global pandemic would somehow be better than the current working situation that I was in. So working in Florida, extremely understaffed. There are no safe staffing ratios in Florida, and actually safe staffing ratios are on the ballot now in Florida. And I have friends who I used to work with who basically saying that the hospital that I worked for is putting out statements to the community letting them know that that bill is something that should not be passed, which is absolutely disgusting because I know for a fact patients have been unsafe in those facilities that do not abide by safe staffing standards, and I witnessed so much harm because of it. But that's a whole other can of worms. So because of unsafe staffing, I was turning patients by myself. I remember I had a patient actually fall on me at the end of 2021. In 2021, I had my lowest point where I experienced SI. I needed to be placed on an antidepressant. I went back to therapy and I was not doing well. I had become numb in my role. It was like Groundhog Day. Like I was waking up, going to work, getting through each shift, not really remembering what happened, going to sleep, and then doing it all over again. And on my days off, I would just rot in bed. And my husband actually looked at me and he said, you know, you haven't been present, you haven't been here in X amount of years, all because of my role. So flash forward to our wedding at the end of 2021, I took 3 weeks off. And I remember my last shift, like it was one of the best shifts I'd had. We were fully staffed. I had a great assignment. My patients were so kind. It was like the perfect shift. And I had no idea that it was going to be my last. So we had a beautiful wedding in December. We had actually postponed from March of 2020 to the end of 2021. Our whole family was vaccinated, boosted, and everyone was testing beforehand. And thankfully, no one got sick at our wedding. 1 week later, on Christmas Day, my husband and I got into a car accident. It was really traumatic, and our corgi was actually in the back seat, but thankfully we were all pretty much okay. I remember I was in a C-collar with Sean in front of me, terrified because he couldn't get out of the vehicle and I thought that he couldn't move his legs. I thought the worst. But the first thought I had when I finally sat down and had that C-collar around my neck and my husband's in a stretcher in front of me while I'm in the ambulance on the way to the emergency room, my first thought is, oh God, I have to call in. Who's going to cover my shift tonight? That was the moment I realized that I was giving way too much to my role. I had lost the plot completely. So then a week later, I start having some lower back pain. I start having some numbness and tingling in my right leg. I go to a neurologist. The rain is getting really loud, so you're probably not gonna be able to hear me, so I'm just gonna make a part 2.
I thought that like becoming a nurse, like that I would make so much money and I'd have a luxury lifestyle and I could travel whenever I wanted to and like I could do all these nice things. I was so wrong. Like they work you to death, literally, and you probably don't get a lunch break and you also can't go to the bathroom when you want and you also don't get a raise that's worth anything, like a quarter, maybe 50 cents. Doesn't that sound amazing? Doesn't that sound so good? Are you excited to be a nurse? No, that is awful. That is awful. Like, I hated that. I I cried sometimes going to work as a new grad. I cried. And I was like, I can't do this till I'm 65. I can't do this. I would actually cry. That was obviously fake crying. But no, like, I thought that I would have all these nice things, and I did not. I was struggling. I actually had to get another job and work as a bartender because I just could not keep up. And then I got burnt out. So I was like, okay, there's girlies traveling the world, making money from their phone. What the hell are they doing? Because I need to figure it out. If anybody figures it out, please let me know. I'm just kidding. I'm going to share the tips with you. Did I get you there? Okay, no. So what I do is called network marketing. I don't work in a hospital anymore. I work for myself. I'm my own boss. I can travel when I want because I work from my phone. So what is network marketing? I use, share, and recommend health and wellness products, and I make commissions off my sales, and I help teach other women how to do the exact same thing. So essentially, yes, I'm in sales, and sales is the highest paid industry in the world. And network marketing, which is what I do, produces the most female millionaires every single year. You have to be a nurse to do network marketing? Absolutely not. But the company that I'm partnered with is a luxury health and wellness brand company that I'm obsessed with. I love their products. That's why I'm so good at what I do, because I literally am obsessed with the products and people can see how well they work. So yeah, I love it because I can work from my phone. They offer cash bonuses every single month for you to earn. It's uncapped income. It's just all sales. So as much as you sell, that's as much as you are going to make. The company also gives you like incentive trips to earn, bonuses, gifts, jewelry. Like some of my friends that are in the business, they just got gifted Valentino and Fenty bracelets because they sold the most products in their country. And I was like, girlies, yes! Like, I'm sorry, but working as a nurse, you're not getting gifted a Valentino or a Fenty bracelet. So if you are a nurse, corporate girly, whatever you are, and you hate your job, you need to start network marketing because it's genuinely changed my life in so many different ways. If I would have told you 2 years ago I would not be working as a nurse in the hospital, I wouldn't believe you. But the best thing is about network marketing is you can do this full-time or part-time. It's totally up to you. It's just an extra source of income that is there for you. If this sounds like something you're interested in, you can drop your Instagram below, or you can always DM me or apply to join my team linked in my bio.
Nursing is the most toxic profession of all time. I can't even think of another profession more toxic. If you can, let me know. We're not meant to be on such high alert for such a long period of time. We're always on constant fight or flight mode. We are always activated. Even when you're chilling, you're not chilling. The amount of anxiety, the amount of stress that is put on our minds, on our emotional well-being, no human should ever have to go through. 1 minute you're coding grandma in one room, then the next second you're getting yelled at by someone who's mad because they waited 30 minutes in the ER. And then the next moment you're coding baby, and then the next minute someone's mad at you for not bringing them water. Nah, this ain't it. People are like, oh, you just can't let it bother you. What? We are put in between life and death, and you're just expected to go home like everything's okay, and then you show up to work and people say, do better. You didn't chart this on time, you didn't give this med on time. Insane. It's insanity. I don't know how we normalize such a toxic profession. People are like, oh, you can make it better one step at a time. No, there is no getting better. This machine has too much money. One of the largest sectors, one of the largest, most profitable sectors, billions and billions of dollars they can't even imagine. Nah, we're just pawns. We're just pawns in this game. So call off, quit, or don't. Do whatever you want. None of it matters.
3,000. That's the number of jobs I've applied to as of today. 3,000 jobs. During the course of the year and a half that I've been out of work after a injury that happened on the job, trying to find another job has been so difficult. Now, mind you, I have 25 years experience as a sales manager, 29 years as an event manager. I'm well overqualified for any job I apply to, but yet, for some reason, over the course of me applying to 3,000 jobs, I've only had 9 interviews, and I've had maybe 15 callbacks, and all the other ones are fake. These days, you have to actually look at the actual website versus Indeed or LinkedIn, but both of those sites are basically worthless. They're now becoming social media sites where it's more about popularity versus an actual job. So I'm just putting it out there. Tomorrow is my birthday. It would be really nice if I could find work. So I'm putting that out there to the gods above. There's only so much resources that I can use before I run out of money. And frankly, the market is that bad. Is anybody else having that problem? I'd love to hear your story. I don't know if you've applied to 3,000 jobs. Have a nice day.
599 job applications, 502 flat-out rejections, 19 interviews, and 6 job offers. That's how much it took me to get my software engineering internships over the last year and a half. Take this as your sign to start preparing for the 2026 recruitment cycle already. Fix your resume by building new, unique coding projects with a user base that aren't just copies of YouTube tutorials, and ideally incorporate some form of AI in them. Then network. Set up all those coffee chats. Go to every single in-person event you could think of. Don't just apply using LinkedIn. Use tools like Massive, which uses AI to auto-apply to hundreds of jobs for you automatically as soon as they come out. Most importantly, please grind your leak code. That's what's going to get you the job. Do a question from the Blind 75 every single day. Lock in. You got this.
I had this mind-blowing epiphany that I thought that having a job was going to be a constant thing that I always had because I did the right things and took the steps that I was supposed to take. Like going to college, getting a degree, starting from the bottom. Okay, now we're here, and none of that worked. I mean, it worked because I am where I am, but it didn't work in a professional sense because I'm not a professional. I'm just me. And I think that's something that we need to accept. And I'm saying we as in I'm talking to my reflection or whatever the hell this is right now. But I think that you guys could fit into my we, Am I making sense, or am I just rambling again? Anyway, you are the only constant in your life. And that, once you realize that and you you're going to cry for a minute because you're going to be like, but what about they're not? It's just you. And maybe your rescue dog because they always stick around. But anyway, it's empowering once you realize it. Take it, use it as strength, move through life.
So I'm looking for a job right now, and companies are taking advantage of this job market. And I'm not talking about the mom and pop place down the street. I'm not talking about small businesses. I'm talking about the companies that I'm seeing on LinkedIn. First of all, the pay for the job description is so wildly low, and the experience that they are looking for is it'll be 3 to 5 years for what should be an entry level role in these corporate jobs. I can't imagine having just graduated college and be trying to find a job right now. Me, and I have 5-6 years of experience. People are just taking advantage of the situation at this point. It is absolutely absurd.
Hey besties, so the job market is actually insane. I was looking on LinkedIn earlier, applied to this job. Within the application, they have this whole statement basically saying, hey, we appreciate the relevance of AI, but please don't use it to submit stuff for your application. We want it to be very relevant to who you are as a person so that basically we can evaluate that correctly. And then, so I submitted my little application, then got an email back saying, hey bestie, thanks for submitting the application. Want to go ahead and start this first round interview process. The first round, however, is going to be a phone call with our AI assistant. But don't worry, because we review all of the phone calls ourselves. So something feels off about that. I'm not gonna lie. It's feeling a little hypocritical.